picturesque Italian town. A savage murder. A young American woman accused of one of the most shocking crimes in modern history. Was Amanda Knox a cold-blooded killer, or the victim of a system desperate for answers? Tonight, we unravel the twisted tale that kept the world glued to headlines. It was November 1st, 2007, in the medieval city of Perugia, Italy. Known for its cobbled streets, chocolate festivals, and thriving student life, it was the perfect backdrop for adventure and discovery. But on that night, inside a modest hillside cottage, horror unfolded. Meredith Kercher, a 21-year-old British exchange student, was found brutally murdered. Her throat was slashed, her body left partially covered with a duvet in her locked bedroom. She had been stabbed, sexually assaulted, and left to die. To investigators, it looked like a burglary gone wrong. But soon, they would claim it was something far more sinister. But what police uncovered next would change everything. Police wasted no time turning their attention to Amanda Knox, Meredith's 20-year-old American roommate. Amanda, bright-eyed and adventurous, had only been in Italy for a few weeks. She was dating Rafael Salicito, a reserved 23-year-old Italian computer science student she had known for just over a week. In the days following the murder, Knox's behavior puzzled investigators. She was seen kissing Rafael outside the cottage, doing yoga stretches at the police station, even shopping for lingerie. To Italian authorities, and soon to the media, this was not how an innocent roommate behaved after her friend's brutal death. But was this unusual behavior guilt, or simply cultural misunderstanding? Then came a third name, Rudy Guede, a drifter with a criminal record. His involvement would change everything. But why him? And what did investigators really find at the crime scene? Prosecutors crafted a narrative that grabbed global headlines. This was not just murder, it was a sex game gone wrong. Fueled by drugs, jealousy, and desire, Amanda, Rafael, and Rudy supposedly lured Meredith into a ritual that spiraled into violence. This theory was sensational, irresistible to tabloids. Amanda was quickly branded Foxy Knoxy, a femme fatale who lived a life of sex, drugs, and danger. Overnight, she became less of a student abroad and more of a villain in a modern-day horror story. But was there any truth to this motive? Or was it a story built to captivate headlines rather than reflect reality? Just when it seemed prosecutors had their story straight, Amanda Knox said something that turned the case upside down. On November 5th, Knox was interrogated for hours. She later claimed she was slapped, yelled at, and denied a lawyer. Exhausted and confused, she signed a statement implicating her boss, Patrick Lumumba, in the murder. Police had their breakthrough, or so they thought, but Patrick had an airtight alibi. He was at his bar all night, witnessed by multiple people. He was quickly freed, but Amanda's credibility was destroyed. Now, Amanda and Rafael were behind bars, their names tied to murder. Meanwhile, police combed through the cottage for evidence. They gathered knives, fibers, and fingerprints, but their methods would later be exposed as chaotic, sloppy, and contaminated. What they found and how they used it would make this case infamous. And here's where the so-called evidence began to unravel. The case against Amanda and Rafael rested on fragile, controversial evidence. The knife, found in Rafael's apartment, it allegedly held Amanda's DNA on the handle and a microscopic trace of Meredith's on the blade. Critics argued it was unreliable, too small a sample to prove anything. Even stranger, the blade didn't match two of Meredith's wounds. The bra clasp, recovered 47 days after the crime scene was sealed. Investigators claimed it carried Rafael's DNA, but contamination was a serious possibility. By then, the scene had been trampled by dozens of officers. Amanda's behavior. To prosecutors, her kisses and shopping trips screamed guilt. To cultural experts, it was nothing more than awkwardness and misunderstanding. But then came the bombshell. Rudy Guede's DNA was everywhere. His bloody fingerprints, his semen, his DNA covering Meredith's room. He admitted being there, but blamed Amanda and Raphael. Why, then, did prosecutors cling to the theory of a trio? And yet, despite this overwhelming clue, the trial took a shocking turn. In 2009, the courtroom spectacle reached its climax. The world watched as Amanda Knox and Raphael Salicito were convicted of Meredith's murder. Amanda received 26 years. Raphael got 25. Headlines screamed, and the world divided into two camps. Those who believed Amanda was a murderer, and those who saw her as a scapegoat. But in 2011, the story flipped. An appeals court reviewed the evidence. Independent experts shredded the DNA results, declaring them unreliable. The convictions were overturned. Amanda and Raphael walked free, and Amanda flew home to the US. Still, the nightmare wasn't over. In 2013, Italy's highest court ordered a retrial. By 2014, both were convicted again in absentia. The headlines blazed once more. Finally, in 2015, Italy's Supreme Court acquitted them definitively, citing stunning flaws in the investigation. Amanda Knox was free, but her name would never truly be cleared. And just when you think it's over, there's still one more twist. Rudy Guede, whose DNA was all over Meredith's room, was convicted in a fast-track trial. He served 13 years before being released in 2021. He remains the only person undeniably tied to the murder. Amanda Knox returned to America, rebuilt her life, became an author, a mother, and an advocate for criminal justice reform. Yet, her name is still shadowed by suspicion. Raphael Salicito moved on, but the stigma of being labeled a murderer lingers. Meredith Kercher's family is left with unanswered questions and a devastating loss that can never be repaired. Nearly 2 decades later, the question still hangs heavy. Was Amanda Knox guilty, or was she destroyed by a system desperate for answers? A media hungry for scandal and a public craving a villain? Was this justice or one of the greatest miscarriages of justice in our time? If this story left you questioning everything you thought you knew, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because here, we uncover the darkest crimes, the wildest twists, and the truths hidden in plain sight. This is True Crime Tales, where every story has more than one side.